So now we've learned in previous lessons about how you can reduce fractions before multiplying, and this is sometimes referred to as canceling. For example, let's say that we have 3/5 times 2/3. And so now the standard way of solving this problem is you multiply the top, 3 times 2, and that's 6. Then you multiply the bottom, 5 times 3, and that's 15. And then we would look at the fraction and think if there's any way we can reduce it. And we'd think, okay, well, we could divide it by 3, and that would reduce it down to 2/5, or 2/5. But there's actually a shortcut that you can take to speed this process up. So let's try this again. We have 3/5 times 2/3. Now before we even multiply it, we can look and we see that we have a 3 there and a 3 there. So basically we can divide each of these 3's by 3 and change them to a 1. So now we can multiply it, and we have 1 times 2 on the top is 2, and then we have 5 times 1 on the bottom, which is 5. And so you see we get the same answer, but it's a much shorter process. So now in this video I'm going to show you how not only can you do that with numbers, but we can also do it with units. Now, when we say unit, we're basically referring to any kind of measurement that is always associated with a number. For example, we have minutes, or hours, or perhaps dollars, or points, maybe if you're playing sports. So these are all called units. So let's take a look at an example. So let's say that we'll just say that you have your grandma over here. She's living in her house, and your house is way over here, and you want to walk to your grandma's house. And it's a long, windy road over the river and through the woods, of course. And now you don't know how long that road is, but what you do know is that it takes you 2 hours to get there. And what you also know is that your average walking speed is about 3 miles per hour. Now this right here, this 3 miles per hour, this is what we call a rate. Now a rate is basically when you have so many of one kind of unit for every one of another kind of unit. So in this case, 3 miles per every hour. So now if we wanted to solve this problem, what we can do is every time we have a rate, you can actually put that into a fraction form. So in this case, we would write 3 miles over 1 hour. And that's the same as saying 3 miles per hour. And then we would multiply that times the 2 hours that it takes us to walk the path. And then since that's just 2 hours by itself, to put that in fraction form, we just put it over a 1. Now you'll notice that here we have an hour here and an hour up here on the top. And so like we did with the numbers, you can cancel those out. So we'll cancel out that hour, cancel out that hour, and so now we're just left with miles. So now we can solve this. So up on the top we have 3 miles times 2, and that's 6 miles. And then on the bottom it's just 1 times 1, so that just stays 1. And so 6 miles over 1 is really just like saying 6 miles. So it is 6 miles to get to Grandma's house. Let's take another example. So let's say that you are taking a long trip on a highway, and the speed limit is 55. That's 55 miles per hour. And let's say you also have a limit for how many hours you're going to travel on that day. So we'll say you're not going to travel any more than 7 hours, because then you'll just be too exhausted to do any more. So we want to find out if we're going 50